Hello, and welcome to this episode of The Good News.
I'm Doc.
And I'm TJ. That felt weird getting ready to say I'm TJ before you said you were Doc.
You know, it doesn't matter. I think by now our YouTube audience know who we are, but still good to just introduce ourselves to those new Good News followers who, for the very first time, just happen to be catching us right now.
Well, there is so much to talk about this week. So I first want to congratulate the home team, the Seattle Seahawks, on going to the Super Bowl, making it to the big dance.
And you know, when you think about the Seattle Seahawks, you have to talk about the 12th man.
Yes, sir.
You know, they're one of the few teams who just have really publicly acknowledged the 12th man. I think it's Texas A&M, they do it on the collegiate level. But Seattle Seahawks have taken the 12th man to another level. I love at the beginning of the game how they have like different people who mean something and represent the community, other organizations. They raise the flag up and the 12 come up. And what's so ironic and interesting and I love about it, there's no one on the team that gets to wear number 12. Because that belongs to the fans.
It does. And you know, you are one of those husbands that listen. So you have heard me say, ooh, I sure would love to have me a 12th man jersey. So now, to my surprise, I have a 12th man jersey.
You do?
And I know enough about football to know that you don't break it out at the big dance. You save it to next season. So next season, I'll begin wearing my 12th man jersey.
And I could understand that. I really can. You know,
I saw the commercials.
I think about a lot of times how sometimes, and I'm not a superstitious person, but I know people who are into sports have routines and I guess I'll call them ritualistic practices they do, and they don't like to change up on things. And you know, bringing out, say, whatever fans do throughout the season, there are fans who will not do anything different until the season is over. So when you're saying you're not going to wear that 12-man jersey until next season, I understand it, but let me share this with you and give you a little enlightenment on it. Try it out in preseason first, when the games don't really count.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Try it out in preseason, and if they're losing a lot with you on, maybe you need to do something a little different, or just stay the way you are.
Just bring it out and lay it across a chair. Don't
wear it on Saturdays or Fridays, something like that. Don't wear it on game day.
You know what's all the excitement, I'm sure, that's in Seattle has kind of been overshadowed by all the media hype on, is it Richard Sherman?
Richard Sherman.
I don't know what I think about it. I think it's been overdone, but what I really like about it is that he is a Stanford grad, extremely articulate, and has defended his comments and statements very well. So.
And you know, and what I like about him also is how he don't fit the mold the media tries to portray him as. Not only was he a Stanford grad, which is one of the top schools in America, he entered Stanford at the top of his game. He had a 4.2 GPA coming out of high school. And if I'm not mistaken, he grew up in the Compton area. And he talked about his parents, his mom being, I think, a social worker, and his dad worked for the sanitation department for like 20, 30 years maybe. So work ethic was something that he knew. And because he had the look that a lot of people in mainstream think is the typical thug look, in which they want to call him, they want to label him. And I have issue with that because he's a very articulate guy, and you just can't judge books by their cover, books by the cover you want to put on him.
The wrong one this time, so. It's been blanketing the media, so it just further serves to remind us that there's other stories going on. You know, we have really been enjoying the road to the Super Bowl commercials where they had fans that they were granting wishes and giving them tickets to the game. So we've really been enjoying those, but it's kind of even overshadowed that.
And you know, this week is when they actually have to go through all the interview process, and then they have media row at Super Bowl where media from all over the world line up and ask everybody, and they were talking about how everyone's attention would be on Richard Sherman. Everybody wanted a piece of him for his interview. And they said he'd probably be the most interviewed person at the Super Bowl, surpassing his coach, Pete Carroll, and possibly even surpassing their hero, Peyton Manning. And and it made me think about this old image of the good cowboy with the white uniform on, and the black cowboy with the black uniform on.
Yes.
Well, not black boys, black, but you know how they had the good and the bad.
The colors.
And it's like they're trying to play this villain role for him, and he's not a villain at all, and they're trying to vilify him. And I just often, like I stated with you earlier, I don't think that interview would have got as much publicity if it would have been Pam Oliver interviewing him instead of Aaron Andrews, because I saw the look of fear on Aaron Andrews' face, the way he came off. And you think about your adrenaline has been pumping for 60 minutes, you going hard and everything.
To the wire, yes.
And somebody just threw a microphone in your face.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that she didn't get more than what she did. And I love the fact that he was so articulate. Not a single profane word came out of his mouth. And even when he gave an initial acronym or something, it wasn't what people thought it was.
Yeah.
And he even talked about how he tried to go and shake Crabtree's hand after the game and everything. And Crabtree probably looked at that as taunting, but when you lose it, everything is taunting. So.
Yeah. One of the stories of Jesus in the Bible is the town bringing out the woman that was caught in adultery, in the act of adultery. Just a woman. She was caught in. Yeah.
She did it by herself.
I guess.
Say all the woman can do adultery by themselves.
So they brought out the woman, and they told Jesus, "Okay, what are you gonna do? We caught her in the act." And he took the time to bend down, and he wrote into the dirt that was there. And we don't know what he wrote, we don't know what he was thinking, but he took that time to pause before he responded to the crowd, and eventually coming up with the sage words of that is without sin cast the first stone. And of course no one there was without it, so they all went home. So I just love those that are in the media and under so much media pressure that always take a moment, pause, and respond. And I think even in that heated moment, like you say, there was no profanity, there was no, and still the way that it has been inflated across all the media outlets over the past few weeks.
The problem I have with that is we have become so sensitive, I think, to anyone saying anything that might offend somebody.
Yeah.
You cannot live your life wondering who you offended by what you're saying. And I understand the Bible.
Preachers couldn't preach.
I understand the Bible saying guard your tongue and how we have the power of life and death in our tongue. But in football, and I do believe that Richard Sherman and I'm gonna say this, I have a friend who used to march in the band with me and Morris Brown named Richard Marshall, and I've been calling Richard Sherman Richard Marshall every time he come up, and he's a Facebook friend now too, and maybe he'll look at this or not, but I've been calling Richard Sherman Richard Marshall for too long, and I know it's Richard Sherman, but Marshall always comes up, but Richard Sherman, he's guilty of what's called trash talking.
Yeah.
And trash talking, that was the era that I grew up in, that you couldn't play a game unless you talked trash in it.
You couldn't even hopscotch.
You had to talk trash before the game. You had to tell them what you gonna do to them, when you gonna do it to them, and how you gonna do it to them. And now, now you have to shake hands after the game. You have to act like you're friendly to each other, even though you just try to destroy each other. And I know we have changed the society, but trash talking, I shared with a friend of mine on his Facebook page, post when we was talking about the Richard Sherman incident. I said, trash talking is biblical.
Enlighten us.
I said, trash talking is biblical. And I even gave a scripture reference. I gave the reference when David and Goliath, how Goliath talked trash to what all he's going to do, and how David eventually talked trash back to Goliath, talking about what him and God was going to do to him. And I said, if that wasn't enough, I even went back to Elijah, when Elijah was on Mount Carmel with the prophet of Baal, 150 prophets of Baal, and they both had the showdown on who God was the best. And the prophets called on Baal, and Elijah said, maybe you need to call a little louder. Maybe he went to sleep, or maybe he's going to and fro, or maybe he can't hear you. Just call a little louder. And that's trash talking. Because Elijah was so confident in what he knew God was going to do. After Baal called on all they called on the God of Baal and didn't get a response, Elijah said, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm gonna show you how good my God is. We're gonna make a fire, but before we set the fire, I want you to soak all the wood in water.
And
I would say,
yeah.
I'm telling you, he did all that, and then when he did it, and God showed up and made the fire, it's nothing like having confidence in God and knowing what God can do and watch God do. The problem is we don't have enough trash talking Christians to talk about how good God is and what God can do in their life.
I'm going to borrow a phrase from your coworker. Want me to do it?
I know you'll do it. And you know who you are, co-worker. I talked about you on last Friday.
Well, I am just glad that he has endured, because that can wear on you. I've seen on YouTube, I haven't seen it on any of the network stations, but on YouTube he has the Beats commercial, the Hear What You Want to Hear.
It's like, on NFL Network, ESPN, probably some network stations too. But I know it's on 4 Letter Network, ESPN, NFL, and most of the sport networks.
So I'm hoping that that's what he does, and he will take all any aggression he has out on the field and bring home a championship to the home team.
And say what happened to him is what happened to a lot of pastors if we let it happen, because there are a lot of people who want to silence pastors and tell us we shouldn't be so excited and talk with so much force and talk against things, because there are things that pastors have to speak against and speak on behalf of. And if you let people silence you because they don't like your tone or how you look, the way you communicate it, you're in the wrong profession. Because as a pastor, sometimes you have to get loud, you have to get about it, and then there are times you can be quiet and soft-spoken. But if you're a pastor and you have a message, you have to let that message out, regardless of what people go say and how they go hang you up on the cross and crucify you for what you're saying, just like they did Richard Sherman. It wouldn't surprise me one day to see Richard Sherman carrying the banner of Christianity as a gospel pastor and say, going around convincing other people what thus said the Lord and saving people based off of what God has done for his life. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And no matter how 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, when y'all see Richard Sherman and if he's preaching the gospel, guess where you heard it first? On the good news of Doc and White, to Doc and TJ.
Prophesy thee, Reverend. All right. Well, I am excited about this week. What's the game today? It's the Pro Bowl?
Yes, we have an exhibition this season, but we have a Pro Bowl game today, and I'm gonna tell you, normally I don't get excited about the Pro Bowl games. Usually it's after the Super Bowl, and the only reason I will normally watch it because I know I'm getting ready to go into football hiatus and football withdrawal. So I look at it because it's the last game, but this time they got a little smart and they bought it before the Super Bowl.
And how long have they been doing that? I remember them talking about it.
Before the Super Bowl? They've done it before. They don't do it often, but maybe this will work this time. And what they did, they decided to combine and not just have the NFC conference versus AFC conference. They let 2 of my all-time favorite NFL players serve as captains of the team, Deion Sanders and Jerry Rice. My 2 favorite football players in that particular order, 1 and 2, Deion and Jerry. And it was amazing that both of those played opposite of each other. Deion was a shutdown corner and Jerry was the greatest wide receiver. And they had some of the greatest battles known to football. But they let them choose teams, so I'm just excited to see who Deion chose to be on his team, who Jerry chose to be on his team. And as a matter of fact, I would cheer for all. I would cheer for all.
Well, and the game comes on tonight, so and then Super Bowl next Sunday.
Super Bowl next Sunday, so
and then plenty of Lifetime and Netflix.
Super Bowl next Sunday, so Champions for Christ Christian Church will be able to come to church dressed in their favorite NFL football team. But I already told them, if the football team colors are not red, black, and white, they might have to check themselves at the door before they come in. I'm just teasing.
They have to sit in the back.
You can wear any NFL team jersey you like to wear. Just because I'm going to have on my Jones jersey representing 1 and 1 from the Atlanta Falcons don't mean that they can't wear other jerseys. But yes, they can wear other jerseys.
You have to sit in the overflow room.
Yeah.
Amen.
What a great show. What a great opportunity to connect with our YouTube subscribers. And we just want you to know that we really appreciate you, we love you, and we look forward to you sharing the good news with all your family and friends. And tell somebody, tell a neighbor, tell a family, tell a friend about the Good News YT with Doc and TJ. So until the next time,
good day and good night.